Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective. And today will be a little bit different considering the environment we're in today. I routinely immerse myself in nature, and I will take myself out of the city and just completely immerse myself in nature, because I believe that is a recalibration. I believe that this is where we're supposed to be. I believe that when we're in this type of environment, it sets the stage for not only reconnection with the divine through nature, but I also believe that it's important to know and understand that we developed as humans for thousands of years, millions of years in nature, immersed in nature. So in many ways, we are nature, and we are part of this whole ecosystem. And I think what's happened in the last 100 years is we've taken ourselves out of nature, created these metropolitan cities that are basically concrete jungles or concrete prisons, however you want to look at them, that we call apartments and homes and things of that nature. And now we're completely separated, not only from each other in many ways, but also completely separated from nature like this. And so what I want to explore with you is the importance of environment in the healing process, the importance of environment when it comes to maintaining health. Okay, the importance of that and the role of why a lot of people don't heal could be because of their environment. And so I've experienced it with people one-on-one. They've done everything right, using air quotes. They eat healthy, they exercise, they travel, they do things that make them happy, but then they end up still getting sick. And they're trying to figure out, well, why did this happen? And a lot of times it's because of the environment. Our environments are making us sick. When I've done videos in the past about there's been studies that have shown that 80% of buildings in the United States have some form of mold. And because we're living in these closed boxes in homes and apartments, where we're not letting up the windows or opening the doors like we used to do back in the day, and spending most of our time outside of our homes like we used to do back in the days, we're basically just sitting inside of a box and breathing in, all of these poisons, not only mold, but a lot of the household products that are being used, a lot of the flame retardants that are being put in furniture, both office and home furniture. So essentially, we're living in environments that are essentially on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to like the nature that I'm in today. And so I want people to understand that there are many types of environment. You have your social environment, you have your home environment, you have the environment that's surrounding where you live, okay? And what I want to do, you have your internal environment. So what I want to do is explore those environments to help you understand how pivotal they are to your healing process and maintaining your health. Maintaining your health. When your health starts to break down, it could have a lot to do with your environment. It's important to know and understand. You take somebody who grows up in a place like this versus somebody who grew up in a metropolitan city, they're going to have two very different perspectives on life. They're going to be in tune with sounds out here that, somebody who grew up in a city are never attuned to. They're going to be abreast to energy that's coming from the trees, fresh air that's coming from plant life and the environment as well too. They're going to be eating more natural foods because a lot of everything grows here. Like, as I sit here, I'm seeing things that are, growing here that are growing wild. I see banana trees up here. I see a jackfruit tree over there. I see a Barbados cherry tree up there. I see some herbs over there. I see St. John's bush right there. I see cassiolata right there, another herb, and so I'm just sitting in healing right now. I'm just literally sitting in healing. And not only am I sitting in healing as if I could go grab that herb or grab that piece of food, but I'm sitting in the energy that is coming from that food as well too. because you have to understand when somebody, I'll give you an example. When somebody walks into a room that is negative and they're positive and full of life, if you're in that room and you're like, I'm thinking about leaving, like I don't even like the energy in here, and that one person walks in full of life and positivity and they come towards your way, all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'm cool now, I can stay here. So that same energy that could be coming from somebody who's shifting the energy of a room, that same energy is coming from all the plant light that is coming from here. So it's important to know and understand that different environments create different results. Okay, they create different beings. And so it's important for us to understand those environments so we can check ourselves a little bit and look at our internal environment, look at our social environment, look at our home environment, look at the environment that we're surrounding ourselves in, and look at the environments that we're constantly going into. You know, when we go work out, are we going always to the gym, or we take some time to go to the park? Okay, so let's explore that today, because when I tell you, you know, a lot of times for people to be able to be successful in not only maintaining their health, but recovering the health, reclaiming the health, what I've seen is for the vast majority of people, when they're not able to heal, when they're doing everything right, using air quotes, when they're not able to heal, what I've discovered is they have to change their environment. Because also in that environment, there's going to be so much temptation. Because in those environments in metropolitan cities, they're set up to be customers. They're set up to be consumers of products, not nature. Okay? And when you're set up to be a consumer of products and not nature, none of that is in line with your being. Okay? None of that is aligned with the divine parts of you. Okay? So the food, man-made. Okay? You know, the things we spray on our bodies, man-made. You know, and the air full of toxins. We can call that an infestation of man-made creation. And so it's important for us to know and understand we have to shift our energy. And let me say this before we jump into this. It's important you know that there's a divine part within you. There's a piece of God within all of us. Okay? And that divine part that is within you is capable of shifting that entire environment. Well, what I'll tell you is it's very difficult to tap into that divine part of yourself if you're not tapped into the divine part of you that is all of this, okay, that we call nature. Because we are nature, but when you start putting things in your body that are not natural, okay, for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you start to become unnatural and disconnected from yourself. So it's hard to overcome that and tap into the divine parts of yourself if you're not tapped into nature, okay? Tapped into nature when it comes to your food. Tapped into nature when it comes to your healing with herbs. Tapped into nature when it comes into the environments that you go into to reclaim, you know, your peace, okay? So hugely important. So first of all, let's talk about one of the most important environments that's not even out here, your internal environment. Because a lot of times what I'll hear is people talk about how difficult it is to let go of that food, okay? Their food addiction. What I talk about a lot of times with people who don't have the willingness to participate in their own healing process. So we'll say like, hey, this is what you need to do to get the healing and guidance for them. And they'll say, I can't do that. Okay, and it's simply making different food choices, going into different environments, drinking this amount of water, being able to exercise, etc. These are getting sunlight. These are very simple things to the person who is willing and ready to do it. But to somebody who doesn't have that sort of vibration within them in the moment to say, hey, I need to tap into my own healing and be an active participant in my healing. Again, like that person can't heal. Again, you got to remember, you are divinity, okay? That means you're a creator. So whatever you say is so, okay? If you say that I'm incapable of doing that to heal myself, then guess what? The universe, God will affirm you. It will affirm, yes, okay, that's what you want, boom. you're gonna have it. All right. The universe, God, is a genie. Okay. You rub the lamp, and that's what you get. Whatever your wishes are. I talk about this in my book, Life is My Guru. You rub the lamp, God will give you exactly what you want. Okay. So if you say, I have diabetes, then guess what? You have diabetes. And if your actions follow that, it will truly affirm it. Okay? So the universe and God does not, when I say universe, what I'm saying is universe, one song. Okay? That's God. Okay? It's just one song. Okay? One symphony. So that's why I'm using them interchangeably. Okay? And it's important for us to know and understand that within that universe, okay, there are notes, individual notes to that symphony. We are those individual notes that comprise that symphony that is called God, okay? But we have to choose to be our divine self. And that's why it's so important we tap into our internal environment and see what's going on in there. See what's going on in here. See what's going on in the gut, okay? It's so important that we do that because a lot of us don't understand. A lot of our language is poison. Okay, a lot of the things that we're saying don't align with healing, doesn't align with abundance, doesn't align with us being the best version of ourselves, doesn't align with attracting the things that we want in our life or the people or situations or experiences we want in our lives. So as a result, again, God is a genie. You rub the lamp and say, I want to sin. Guess what? Cool. Experiences are going to open up for you to be tempted to sin. If you say, I love food that doesn't love me, I love unhealthy food, guess what? Experiences are going to flood the gate. Commercials are going to come out of nowhere. People are going to call you to go places to eat that have no healthy food. That's how life works. So you got to understand how powerful you are and how powerful it is that you shape your internal environment. Because if you're not set up internally with the programming, with the language, with the self-beliefs, with the self-worth, with the understanding of not only who you are, but what you are, then the game is over before you even get started. Okay? So this is why our internal environment is such an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to who we are, how we heal, and how healthy we are. Okay? A lot of people under the impression that diabetes runs in the family because of genetics. But there's a thing called epigenetics. Epi meaning above genetics. You know what's above genetics? Lifestyle, habits. So what truly is passed down are the habits, the beliefs, the programming. Okay? So as soon as you see your uncle, your auntie, your mom, your cousin with diabetes, you're like, well, this makes sense. This is normal for our family. When you see in your family that, multiple people are overweight, it will become normalized to you. But I always say, just because something is common doesn't mean that it's normal. Okay? Again, habits and mental programming is often what creates the results. That's one of the first, after genetics, one of the first things that we pass down to our children is habits. Those habits include foods that we like. We feed our children. Those habits includes what foods we allow them to eat. Those habits includes our activity, like what do we do throughout our day. If we're very active, guess what? Our kids are going to be active too. So they become these copies of us in many ways. So I tell people, like, you're not only passing down what you leave in your will, but you're also passing down the genes. You're also passing down some of those habits as well too. So you got to check your internal environment, and don't say, all right, this is just who I am. Don't say that this runs in my family. You need to understand that you're like a new computer. Okay, you're a computer, and you can change the programs and the software at any time. You can change your programming and software from things that are doing spreadsheets to things that are doing video editing. You can change your programming to everything in that computer is about abundance to everything in that computer is about destruction. It's entirely up to you. But you got to do the self-checking to understand where you're at, to understand where you want to go. So your internal environment is very important. Okay? Another environment that's very important as well too is your social environment. You got to check your social environment, the places you go, the people who you go with or meet. You got to understand a lot of times the people that you think are your friends, when you start to listen to the language and they start to ask you, how's that little business that you created? You still working on your little book? Or, how's your little weight loss journey going? You got to understand that when you start surrounding yourself with people and those people are also being participants and you staying stuck, every time you start to eat healthy, they say, man, you can have one cheat meal. The people who are using language that is negative, instead of lifting you up, they want to keep you right where they're at. And whenever you go up, you rarely hear from them. And whenever you're down, they're happy to holler at you. You got to understand, you got to be willing to change your social environment. You got to be willing to change the people that you surround yourself with. And I'll tell you is sometimes they're going to be people you can't get rid of, like, a brother or a sister or a mother or a father. But what you can do is speak to them, speak life into a conversation and tell them what new vibes you're on and say, hey, like, this is something that I'm trying to do. I would like for you to support me in it by not being negative and saying these type of things. And if they're not willing to help you along your journey, you got to create boundaries. And that's difficult for a lot of people, but it's very important, and understand for you to have the healthy well-being in all aspects of your well-being, then you're going to have to make some very tough choices in life. So your environment, your social environment is going to be very, very important, and I can't emphasize that enough, because even you watching this video right now is a testament to what you're wanting to rub on that genie, that lamp. It's telling you that you want to create more life, more energy, more love, more beautiful experiences, a healthier well-being. You being here right now is a testament to that. But you have to do all this work that I'm talking about in this video to set yourself up for success. Jordan lost consecutively, I do believe, for 5 or 6 years before finally he got a Scottie Pippen, and then he got a Phil Jackson, and then he got a shooter. He got things in place first. Now, he was a great individual player when he came in the league, and he won a scoring title, and he won the Defensive Player of the Year, those things. But it wasn't until he got his environment together that he actually won. Up until that point, everybody's like, he's just a scorer. And he would have went down in history as just a scorer, not the greatest player of all time. He'd have probably went down as the greatest scorer of all time, but not the greatest player. It wasn't until he got his environment together that he was now not only doing great things individually, but he was doing great things collectively. He was winning championships and enjoying the process much better. All of the hard work was now starting to pay off. And this is what I'm saying to people quite often. You ain't got the right teammates. You ain't got the right coach. You ain't got the right environment. The Bulls during that time also had an amazing front office who went out and got the players that were needed on the team. You got to be that front office for you to win the championships of life, mentally, physically, spiritually. You got to be the Phil Jackson, okay? You got to be that general manager deciding what players to bring in, what players to pay to make sure you keep them. It's important that you create a culture as well too, because the Bulls didn't have a winning culture either. So hugely important. All right. So make sure your social environment is very important. Make sure your home environment is on point. All right. You can't have a whole bunch of processed food and refrigerators and the cabinets and be successful. Set your environment up for success. Okay. Whatever isn't in alignment with where you want to go, it has to go. I'm going to say that again. Wherever isn't in alignment with where you want to go, it has to go. All right, you got to get it out of there. All right, and now I'm not going to belabor that one too much, because I always talk about how important it is that your home environment is set up for success. That whenever you get a little bit of a cold or something like that, instead of going straight to, the doctor to get a Z-Pack, or going to the pharmacy to get something over the counter, that you have some oregano oil there. I talked about that in a video. You can go check that out. So it's so important that you have that environment set up. The food that you're going to eat, the snacks, everything, it needs to be there at home. All right? Your home, your kitchen needs to be your medicine cabinet. And if it's not a medicine cabinet, it's probably gonna your spoon and fork are probably gonna be digging your grave. All right. So you gotta set up your home environment for success, because that's the environment we spend the most time in. So that one has to be successful. I mean, the type of music that you listen to at home, the books you read at home, your air quality, water quality, the food that you're eating, like the culture in your home as well too. It has to be that of positivity, has to be that of healing, there has to be that of, raising vibrations, uplifting yourself and uplifting anybody who comes across that doorstep. Okay? So hugely important. I'm not going to labor on that one, because this the last one I want to jump into, I think is really important. And that one is this, coming into nature. You got to spend time in nature. Even if it's not every day, even if it's not, I would say at least 2 to 3 times a week, you need to be some way in nature. That means a park, that means walking a nature trail. 2 to 3 times a week, you need to spend some kind of time in nature. Okay, it's not enough to just eat nature, and I'll say, like, that's a huge part of me being a part of nature as well too, is being completely plant-based. No meat, no dairy, no processed food. I'm immersed in nature in that way, but it's also important to be immersed in nature in this way too. And I'll do a 360 in just a second so you guys can check out the whole scene. But here's why it's so important to be in nature. As I probably didn't mention in the beginning, but right now I'm in St. Lucia. I've been out here for about 5 or 6 days now. And where I'm staying, there's no AC. Okay, so at night you open the windows. Okay, there's no refrigerator, not only in my room but on the property at all too. When I go to sleep at night, all I hear is crickets and frogs and other type of sounds that I'm familiar with when I grew up, like staying at my father's house. Like, I remember, like, that was the sounds that put me to sleep for years, and being in nature, when you immerse yourself in nature like this, that's what I've been going to sleep to. And it's been soothing, so soothing that, like, I started looking up music, when I go back home, that maybe I'm not in that environment, that I always have it for myself. But I'm going to sleep to the sounds of crickets and frogs, and I'm waking up to the sounds of birds that you hear now. And so these are my new alarm clocks. These are the new sounds that my brain and my ears are getting familiar with now. And not only are sounds just sounds, things that you hear, but sounds are vibrations too. And these vibrations aren't just for my ears, but they're for my brain and they're for my body as well too. So they put me on a completely different vibration, okay? And what I mean by that is this: back in the days when you wanted to check out a radio station, there used to be like a radio dial or something. And you would have to turn the radio dial to the specific station that you wanted to be on. Today, you can just hit a button, okay? And then you can tune in. But it's important to know, if you wanted to listen to old school R&B, for instance, you would have to put it on like 99.7. I mean, it's very specific. You put it on 99.6, then you don't get to hear old school R&B. If you wanted to hear jazz, maybe you had to put it on 105.5. And if you put it on 105.4, you don't get to hear jazz. Well, radio frequencies are that specific, but so are sounds. So the things that you're listening to, they change your vibration. These are things, sounds that you're hearing right now. These are sounds that we evolved with. These are sounds that our body is familiar with, our anatomy, our nature is familiar with. These are sounds that calm the nervous system. They heighten the activity of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a calming system, which increases your immune system. It increases your ability to digest. Okay, it improves respiration. It improves elimination by upregulating the system. But when you're not in an environment like this enough, you're going to be in an environment that is stimulating your sympathetic nervous system, which is your excitatory system. This is the system that creates adrenaline. This is the system that creates cortisol in the body. And when this system is on, all of those other things that I talked about, digestion, your immune system, your respiration, your elimination, when the sympathetic system is heightened and increased, all of these things are suppressed. This is why so many people are constipated. This is why so many people also have digestive issues, okay? I'm adding this to the puzzle of an unhealthy diet, a sedentary lifestyle. But this is also why too, because we're in this heightened sympathetic state where we're always stressed. We're in traffic. Somebody cuts us off. We go to work. The boss is talking about us to some of the other employees. Like, we're constantly in these stressed environments that for hundreds of thousands of years, we didn't have this. We get online and go on social media, and all of a sudden we see that, we see a post that upsets us. We see a fear mongering going on everywhere. And so when we're in these sympathetic, excitatory, stressed out states, stressed out environments, it's going to cause us to suppress our digestive systems, suppress our immunity, suppress our respiration, which we're having. So like a lot of the infections that people are getting are respiratory infections. The elimination, now toxins are building up in the body, okay? All right, so again, being out here in nature, I get to wake up to sounds like this. I get to go to sleep to crickets and frogs. Okay, I get to breathe in natural, fresh air. Okay, I'm right next to all this life beaming and growing around me. The banana trees, jackfruit tree. Okay, the acerola tree or a Barbados cherry. The green leafy vegetables I see growing over there. The herbs that I see growing over there, the St. John's bush, the cassiolata growing over there, the patchouli that I see growing over there, okay? The stinging nettle that I see growing back here, on this little, waterfall over here. Okay, so it's a small little passageway up there, but you can see over there they have stinging nettle, one of my favorite herbs, growing, okay? So it's just important to know and understand that when you immerse yourself in this environment, it's totally different. You're setting yourself up for healing. So you got to take time to immerse yourself in this. I'm walking barefooted, okay? Walking around barefooted, getting that grounding energy from the earth. You got to understand this earth It's what created all this life. The soil created all this life. So you think if this soil is capable, I'm gonna do a quick turnaround. If this soil is capable of creating all of this life that we see here, all of this life, okay, all of the food that I just mentioned, the herbs that I just mentioned, is capable of doing all of that. You don't think there's any capability of energy coming up through the soles of your feet, going into your body? Of course there is. So being able to be out here, walk barefooted like our ancestors did, because they knew the importance of that. Okay, it wasn't that they were uncivilized, it's just they understood that they were getting something from that. The sun that I'm getting from out here. Okay, the fresh water, like literally the fresh water is coming from the top of the mountain. Okay, so it's so important for you to know and understand that when we set up ourselves, we set up these environments, our internal environment, our home environments, our social environments, our natural environments in such a way where we can take in all of this massive amount of energy that creates trees that are 100 foot tall, that get this rain that's coming down on me right now, to get all of this natural beauty and natural energy just flowing through us because it's flowing through all of this space that's out here, then we're setting ourselves up to truly heal. So set yourself up so that you can totally experience what nature can add to your healing journey. Okay? Go into these environments, find opportunities and spaces for you to be able to do this. Because whenever you're able to do that, you come back to your environment with a renewed sense and understanding of the power of nature. And you got to remember, you are nature at the end of the day. Okay? So I just wanted to come on here, share this with you, because as I was out here in a little bit of meditation, it's definitely something that has overshadowed my thoughts as I've been out here, noticing that I dream more. I've dreamed every night I've been out here. And I'll tell you, when I'm back, at home, if I'm not on the farm, I rarely dream, or I rarely remember the dreams. But every night that I've been out here, I probably remember every dream that I've had. And they've been very vivid dreams, and dreams that feel like they're telling me something, and dreams that have been just like beautiful little mini movies as well too. So there's so many benefits that I can't even speak to, of being out here, being immersed in nature. But that's one of the reasons why I bought Sankofa Tropical Farms, and we have I Heart Fruit Box to get all of those tropical fruits from. That's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to creating an environment where people can come into. As one of the reasons why I'm doing the retreat that happens on June 6th through June 9th of 2024. So if you haven't signed up for that, you got a few more days to sign up for that. It's one of the most important reasons why I immerse myself in that, but I also create environments for other people to be a part of that too. And that's why I do the retreat, and we do like a farm tour and talk about growing your own food and owning your own land and things of that nature too. So I just wanted to come on here and share this with you. Please, if this resonated with you in any way, make sure you share this with somebody else. Because a lot of times the reason why people can't heal is because they're leaving this one important factor out. This one really, really important thing that we're not considering, that essentially 99% of human existence was in nature, okay? And it's only been the last 120 years that the vast majority of people weren't in nature like this. Only the last 120 years. Humans have been around a very hundreds of thousands of years, if not a million years. So this is like the last few seconds on the human timeline that we've literally ripped ourselves out of our natural environments and created these boxes that we call metropolitan cities. So please share this with somebody so that they can understand the importance of including this on their self-care regimen, on their healing journey. Please hit that subscribe button And that really helps me out because it helps me to create more great content like this, and helps me understand that this is resonating with the people as well too. And until the next time, peace and blessings and Godspeed. I'll do another quick little 360 so you can see where I'm at here and see how beautiful it is. And you can find your own inspiring journey like this as well too. All right, peace, people. Until the next time, Godspeed.